Hey guys, Joe here at JP Details with the very first car to be treated at the new unit. This Audi A6 3 litre circa 2009 reg was one of the very first customer vehicles to be treated back in 2012. Since then the car has come back to me on a couple of occasions, but I haven't seen it for the best part of 3 years as the owner does like to keep on top of it himself, to a certain degree. Peter, who is the owner of the car, who actually lives 2 doors up from my parents' house, does wash his Audi A6 regularly with water. Literally, water only. He's the only guy that I know that washes his car with a bucket, sponge and a hose, but no shampoo. I have mentioned to him that a decent car shampoo would be beneficial, but as it goes you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That may possibly be why the A6 is reasonably well contaminated with road tar, considering it was fully decontaminated for the last time around 3 years ago. The car does cover some decent mileage and it's never been ceramic coated. The Audi was dropped off nice and early on Monday morning with a relative filth level. We have wheels that are covered in brake dust and ones that probably haven't been decontaminated in quite a while. The bodywork is covered in road tar contamination, which should be a satisfying stage to complete and one that will no doubt begin making the car to look so much better. As it turns out, the wheels have been swapped around, i.e. the fronts have been swapped to the rears, hence why the rear wheels are far dirtier than the fronts. Like always, the washing process will begin with decontaminating the wheels, tyres and the arches. An initial pressure rinse to remove the bulk of the brake dust, followed with the application of Carchem Revolute, which is going to be the iron fallout remover used in today's video. Apply the iron fallout remover to the whole of the first wheel and begin agitating the product with your various wheel cleaning implements. Be sure to get into all of the nooks and crannies of the wheel, including the wheel nuts, the brake calipers, behind the spokes themselves and of course the inner barrels. We are detailers, remember, which is where the details matter.
Finish, rinse off and then I'll be with you. Alright, nice one.
Crisscross the inner wheel barrel brush behind the spokes to ensure a complete wheel cleaning process. Grab the tough shine tyre brush and some strong APC to clean the tyres, and if you wish, you can spray the APC into the arches and then give them a good scrub down with one of your inner wheel barrel brushes. Rinse the wheel when complete and then move to the next corner. Repeat this process on all 4 wheels and you should be off to a winner when this stage is finished. So this car does actually have a bit more history behind it in relation to the JP Details YouTube channel. This car actually featured in my 6th ever video some 5 years ago called Winter Protection Detail Explanation. If you haven't watched that video already, then I would highly recommend doing so, even if it's just so you can see how much of an improvement I've made on YouTube in the past 5 years. When the owner got in touch recently and asked for his car to be decontaminated and protected, I couldn't believe the timing. I knew it would make for a nice first proper detailing video to come out of the new unit. With all 4 wheels, tyres and arches now sorted, it's time to move on to the bodywork. We'll begin this process with a decent initial pressure rinse just to remove the loose bits of debris, dirt and grime. Don't ask what this pressure washer is that I'm currently using, as it's only a temporary machine lent to me by Precious Washers in Stafford. My Kranzel K7 has now gone kaput, and so is my backup Nilfisk machine. This machine that I've been lent is decent, it's just the gun which is a massive letdown. In terms of the water beading on the Audi A6, then there isn't really anything to report, not what we consider beads in the detailing industry anyway. However, this will change by the end of the Audi A6's stay in the JP car spa. So get the vehicle all rinsed off and be sure to cover your £1,000 camera and shotgun mic with water just to increase your chances of needing to replace it, and if you are as lucky as me, crack on with applying your snow foam. Unfortunately today I'm not that lucky, as I don't have a snow foam lance to suit this machine. I'll have to make do with applying a strong dilution of APC via a double action trigger sprayer to act as the pre-wash. This will effectively do the same job as the snow foam, it just won't be anywhere near as spectacular for you guys to watch. Apply your chosen pre-wash to the vehicle and grab some APC to clean the hard to reach areas, including the nooks and crannies, panel gaps, emblems, badges and the filler cap area, etc. Give the vehicle a thorough pressure rinse when complete, and you'll then be ready for the next stage. Grab your 2 buckets loaded with water and the wash bucket with your chosen shampoo, give it a good blast with the pressure washer to create the suds and begin washing the vehicle from the roof down. I prefer these microfiber wash mitts over lamb's wool, noodle, merino wool or any other type of wool, as I feel that these microfiber wash mitts last longer, and I believe that they are safer for the paint, as they do seem to encapsulate the dirt particles better. You'll want some primary wash mitts for the big and open areas of the car, and you'll then want some secondary wash mitts for the lowest areas, including underneath the front and rear bumpers, underneath the side skirts and the painted inner arch lips. Take your time and wash the vehicle nicely, thoroughly and methodically. Cover every centimetre of paintwork and bodywork features, however by completing the initial detailing brush stage should only leave you with the bigger areas to clean with the wash mitt. I do apologise, but I don't remember which shampoo I use for the washing stage. My guess is Sam's Detailing Bodywork shampoo. When you have spent an eternity washing every millimetre of paintwork and bodywork features, be sure to rinse off all of the soapy suds. The first decontamination stage is the tar deposit removal stage, where we remove all of the rotar deposits from the paintwork, wheels, plastic trim, exhaust tips, windows and practically everywhere else. As a bonus, you could even remove the rotar deposits from the inside of the door shuts and sills. Apply your chosen tar and glue remover to the bodywork, roughly 2 or 3 panels at a time, allow a short period of time for the chemical to begin working its magic, and then gently wipe the paintwork with a microfiber towel. You will find that any larger blobs of rotar will need to be broken down carefully, and this may require 2 or 3 separate hits of the product. The Audi A6 was relatively well contaminated with the stuff, however it didn't prove that much of a problem to remove. Complete the bulk of the bodywork first and then move to the wheels. When this process is complete, rinse the entire vehicle off. The second decontamination stage is to remove the iron fallout or ferrous contamination from the complete exterior. Apply your chosen iron fallout remover to the entire vehicle liberally and give the product as long as possible before rinsing it all back off. The longer you can leave this product on the surface of the car for before it either dries out or gets rinsed off means that it will stay effective and active for as long as possible, in return removing all of the iron fallout contamination. Be sure to complete this stage in the shade because if the sun does come out you will be buggered. The iron fallout product will dry onto the exterior surfaces and it will even turn into a dry white powder. Not good for a vehicle's exterior and the chances of it staining somewhere are pretty high. In an ideal world we would treat the entire car from start to finish either in the shade or totally indoors, however this isn't going to be possible for everyone. All I can say though is if you do happen to apply the iron fallout product and the sun does come out, you'll have to rinse it off pretty quick. I gave the exterior of the A6 two nice coverings of the product and the longest amount of dwelling time possible. There was a decent amount of the chemical colour reaction change, which is a sure sign that it was well in need of doing. Rinse the vehicle when the product has had its longest dwelling time possible and then reapply a second layer of snow foam to help draw out all of the iron fallout product and contamination from the gaps and crevices of the bodywork. If you don't complete this final snow foam stage, the vehicle will begin leaking red contaminated fluid onto your unit's floor. The third and final decontamination stage is the clay bar stage, which will remove all final bonded contamination such as tree sap, bug etching, bird lime and overspray, which are the main types of contaminants left over, so be sure to remove all traces with the clay bar effectively. I'm using the Meguiar's clay bar and the Meguiar's last touch detail spray to act as the clay lube, and I will now saturate each panel one at a time and gently rub the clay bar over all layers of paint. Don't miss the headlights or the rear lights and the windows. There is still a small amount of contamination left on the exterior of the Audi, which all came off easily enough within the clay bar. Dry the vehicle as normal afterwards, and if you are as lucky as me, you'll get to bring the vehicle inside to finish off the job. At this point you can opt to give the paintwork a hand polish, a machine polish or even a full-on paint correction. This Audi A6 is in for a protection detail, which is essentially going to deep clean the exterior, which is what we've now completed, followed with protection. I'm going to wipe the paintwork down with G-Technics panel wipe to prepare it for the last stage protection. Why do I not apply a pre-wax cleanser, I hear you ask? Well, quite simply because any type of hand applied polish or pre-wax cleanser is going to make near on zilch of a difference. If you want to get this car enhanced, then it would need to undergo a single stage machine polish, which is not included in the entry level protection detail. I don't personally see the point in applying a pre-wax cleanser or polish by hand at this point because I know that it will make no difference. But for argument's sake, let's say we did apply the pre-wax cleanser by hand, which would have improved the gloss of the car at this point, but if we were then to follow with G-Technics panel wipe to prepare it for the last stage protection, that gloss that we just added would have now disappeared. So why don't you just wax over the top of the pre-wax cleanser and then you'll get ×2 gloss boost surely? Well, in my experience of waxing over the top of an already slick surface is an absolute ball ache, and you'll also use a ton of wax because you'll be going by what the surface looks like, i.e. a nice hazy finish from the wax, instead of what the surface feels like. by wiping the paintwork down with what is essentially a 99.9% mix of alcohol is now going to provide us with a slightly catchy surface. A clean surface, yes, but one with no polish oils or residue on. So when we do wax the paintwork for our last stage protection, we'll be applying that wax to the actual clear coat and not some oily surface over the top. This will allow you to know when each section has been nicely waxed, as the surface will go from slightly catchy to incredibly smooth. This technique will help you to not overuse any product, which I would say is important when using products like Swiss Vac Shield. Let's say we didn't wipe the paintwork down with IPA and we had then gone ahead with a pre-wax cleanser, the surface will already be nice and smooth, which would make our wax application 10 times more annoying to do. You should all know the reasons behind why we IPA or panel wipe in the first place, which is usually done after X amount of stages of machine polishing, but also completed on any clear coated surface that is to be protected. The windows were polished with Auto Finesse Vision glass polish, and after giving the paintwork the IPA wipe down, I then went ahead and applied a thin and even layer of Swiss Vac Shield. Not the most expensive waxes in the world, but it's still pretty decent. Simply apply the Carnauba wax to the paintwork using a clean wax applicator, and after the entire vehicle has been waxed, you can then take a plush microfiber towel to gently buff the excess residue. The only time when I'll apply more wax to the applicator is simply when the applicator stops making the paintwork go from slightly catchy to incredibly smooth with the wax. Remember that we IPA'd the paintwork, so all non-waxed areas are noticeably rougher to feel. When that paintwork stops going smooth and slick, reapply more wax. If you didn't IPA, and perhaps if you had used a pre-wax cleanser at this point, knowing when to reload more wax is nowhere near as easy to figure out. You'll more than likely apply more wax than what you need, as you'd be going off what it looks like rather than what the surface feels like. The wax was gently wiped off the paintwork, as that's all it takes. The windows were buffed, the tyres dressed, a wheel sealant for the wheels, the exhaust tips were polished, the door shuts and sills were cleaned with detail spray, and give or take the vehicle was ready for collection. The Protection Detail is the entry-level detailing service designed to deep clean and protect the exterior of the vehicle. This process is going to remove all types of contamination from the exterior, which is visually going to improve its aesthetic appearance. The protection through the use of market-leading products is going to protect the vehicle from all types of natural and industrial elements going forwards. The contamination will not adhere to the paintwork in the same way as an unprotected vehicle, and as long as the vehicle is washed with the right stuff and if the protection is kept on top of, then your vehicle will stay looking like the day it did when it rolled off the production line for a very long time. The Audi A6 has now been turned back into an enthusiast-owned vehicle, as there is not a single motoring enthusiast out there that doesn't appreciate a properly clean vehicle, or at least I haven't met one yet anyway. Peter was extremely happy with his spanking clean Audi A6, and he even booked in his wife's Audi TT for the same treatment plus the interior. The A6 is being used to take the grandkids to France on holiday, so they'll be having the interior fully done when they return. A blast from the past for sure this one, and what a cracking way to get the first proper detailing video out from the new unit. Be sure to check out the Winter Protection Detail explanation video, which is my 6th ever YouTube upload some 5 years ago. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for plenty more detailing videos, and be sure to give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram, just search JP Details, so you can keep up to date with what I'm getting up to between these YouTube uploads. I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.